History is often told through dates and treaties, through the grand designs of empires and leaders. But sometimes, history is a fracture, a wound that never truly heals, an event so profound, so devastating, it redefines the very fabric of human existence for generations. In the summer of 1947, a stroke of a pen, a line drawn on a map, cleaved a civilization. It was called Partition, the division of British India into two independent nations, India and Pakistan. It promised freedom, yet unleashed an unimaginable horror, a cataclysm that shattered 15 million lives, creating one of the largest, most brutal forced migrations in human history. This is not a simple history lesson. This is the story of that fracture, the indelible mark left on the souls of millions. This is the story of the partition that broke millions. For centuries, before the shadow of partition fell, the land that would become India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh was a tapestry woven with unparalleled diversity. Under British colonial rule, from the late 1800s to the early 1900s, this vast subcontinent was a single, sprawling entity. A mosaic of over 400 distinct languages, countless dialects, and a multitude of faiths. Hindus, Muslims, Sikhs, Jains, Christians, Parsis. They lived side by side, their lives intertwined in an intricate dance of shared existence. From the ancient alleys of Lahore, where Sufi saints and Sikh gurus found common ground, to the grand avenues of Delhi, a melting pot of empires and beliefs. From the bustling port of Karachi, a hub for merchants of all creeds, to the intellectual heart of Calcutta, where poets of every faith found their voice, and the vibrant riverine culture of Dhaka, where traditions blended seamlessly. These cities, these villages, were more than just locations. They were living proof that differences could coexist, often thrive, beneath the same sun. Shared histories, shared sorrows, shared celebrations, a complex, imperfect, yet undeniable unity. A land where a Muslim carpenter might build a temple, and a Hindu tailor might stitch a wedding garment for a Sikh bride. This was the subcontinent, a world before the dividing lines appeared. The arrival of the British Raj brought with it a system designed for control, not unity. For nearly 2 centuries, the British Empire systematically extracted wealth and resources, transforming a rich agrarian society into a raw material provider for its industrial revolution. But beyond economic exploitation, there was a more insidious strategy at play: divide and rule. The British understood that a united India was a threat to their dominion, so they began to formalize and politicize religious identity. The census, introduced in the late 19th century, wasn't just about counting people. It was about categorizing them, solidifying identities that had once been fluid and regional. They granted separate electorates, creating a political landscape where communities were encouraged to see their interests as distinct, even antagonistic. They amplified existing differences, sowing seeds of suspicion and competition, a policy that, quietly at first, then more overtly, began to fray the delicate threads of intercommunal harmony. It was a slow, deliberate fracture, one that would accelerate rapidly as the British prepared to leave. The foundations of a shared future began to crumble under the weight of imposed divisions, twisting identities and fostering anxieties about political representation, turning faith into a political instrument. As the grip of the British Empire weakened, the cries for independence grew louder. 2 powerful movements emerged, each with a distinct vision for the subcontinent's future. The Indian National Congress, led by figures like Mahatma Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru, championed a united, secular India, where all faiths could coexist within a single nation. Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence, satyagraha, galvanized millions, transcending religious lines in the fight for Swaraj, self-rule. But another powerful voice rose, the All India Muslim League, under the charismatic leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Initially, Jinnah was an ambassador of Hindu-Muslim unity, believing in a composite Indian identity. Yet, over decades, as British policies continued to segment the population and fears of Muslim marginalization in a Hindu-majority India grew, Jinnah's vision evolved. He began to advocate for a separate homeland. For Muslims, Pakistan. The debates were fierce, the stakes unimaginable. Could such a diverse land truly remain one? Or had the seeds of division, carefully sown by a departing empire, taken root too deeply? The leaders grappled with a future that seemed increasingly irreconcilable, a future shaped by growing distrust and anxieties about identity and survival. By early 1947, the British resolve to hold on to India had evaporated. Exhausted by World War II, facing bankruptcy, they were desperate to leave. In March 1947, Lord Louis Mountbatten arrived as the last viceroy, tasked with overseeing the transfer of power by June 1948, a deadline later shockingly accelerated to August 1947. This haste would prove catastrophic. The impossible task of dividing an ancient land fell to Sir Cyril Radcliffe, a British lawyer with no prior knowledge of India, no experience in cartography, and a deadline of just 5 weeks. He was given outdated maps and incomplete census data. He worked in secret, behind closed doors, literally drawing lines on maps in London, thousands of miles away from the realities on the ground. Villages were bisected, rivers that had sustained life for centuries became borders, railway stations were separated from their tracks, and homes from their wells. His lines, known as the Radcliffe Line, were arbitrary, ignorant, and utterly devastating. The maps were kept secret until just days after independence. Millions woke up to discover they were now on the wrong side of a newly invented border. Their homes, their livelihoods, their very identity suddenly shifted by a stroke of an outsider's pen. What happens when politicians divide millions of people with lines on a map? The answer would soon unfold in a symphony of unimaginable suffering. On August 14, 1947, Pakistan was born. The next day, August 15th, India achieved its hard-won freedom. Celebrations erupted across both nascent nations, a jubilee 200 years in the making. But beneath the euphoria, a terrifying realization dawned. The British, in their haste, had left a ticking time bomb. The borders were drawn, but the machinery of state to manage the transition, to ensure safety, simply didn't exist. Law and order collapsed almost instantaneously. Villages, once harmonious, became hotbeds of suspicion. Neighborhoods that had shared festivals for centuries now saw each other through a prism of fear. The carefully constructed social fabric began to unravel with terrifying speed. As the British administrators and armed forces withdrew, a chilling power vacuum emerged. Local communities, fueled by rumor, fear, and long-simmering resentments exacerbated by colonial policies, turned on each other. But the real horror began after the borders were drawn. The celebrations of freedom quickly morphed into a desperate fight for survival. With the borders announced and violence escalating, millions faced an agonizing choice. Stay in their ancestral homes, now on foreign soil, and risk their lives, or flee to what they hoped would be safety. What followed was an exodus of unprecedented scale. Between 10 to 20 million people became refugees, forced from their homes in a matter of weeks and months. Hindus and Sikhs in newly formed Pakistan streamed towards India. Muslims in newly formed India poured into Pakistan. Entire lives were uprooted almost overnight. They formed vast, desperate caravans stretching for miles across the plains of Punjab and Bengal. Families walked for days, weeks, under scorching sun or torrential monsoon rains, with little food or water, their only possessions what they could carry. The railways, once symbols of progress, became arteries of terror. Overcrowded refugee trains, crammed with humanity, crawled towards the new borders. Many never reached their destination, falling victim to disease, starvation, or worse, brutal attacks along the way. Every step of this forced migration was a testament to raw courage, immense suffering, and the irreversible act of abandoning everything known and loved forever. The mass migration was not just a journey of displacement, it was a gauntlet of terror. As communities moved, they were met with unimaginable violence from opposing groups. The air became thick with rumors, fear, and a chilling brutality that seemed to strip away all humanity. Massacres erupted. Whole villages were engulfed in flames, their inhabitants slaughtered. Women became targets, subjected to abduction, rape, and forced conversion, atrocities that left indelible scars on entire communities. The British had left, and the newly formed governments struggled to impose order on a subcontinent aflame. Civilians were caught in a terrifying void, abandoned by the state, vulnerable to every prejudice and brutality. The most devastating betrayal came from within. Neighbors who once lived together suddenly became enemies. Friendships spanning generations dissolved into hatred. The same hands that had offered help now wielded weapons. The trains, symbols of hope for escape, became symbols of death. The trains kept arriving, filled with silence, fear, and death, carrying not just the displaced, but often the massacred. The violence of partition was a profound moral failure, a chapter of human history where the worst of humanity was unleashed, leaving a legacy of pain that defied comprehension. Beyond the statistics of death and displacement lie the invisible wounds, the hidden human stories that echo through generations. In the chaos of migration, parents lost children in surging crowds, never to see them again. Families were permanently severed, flung across borders, their fates unknown. The quest for loved ones became a lifelong, often fruitless pilgrimage. These were not just numbers. These were mothers, fathers, siblings, children, ripped apart, leaving a void that could never be filled. For those who survived, the journey was only the beginning. They rebuilt lives from nothing, in alien lands, carrying the unbearable weight of their past. But the trauma of partition was not just physical. It was deeply psychological. A profound sense of loss, betrayal, and displacement became ingrained, passed down not through words, but through silences. Through the unspoken fears, the unexpressed grief, the memories too painful to articulate. And this is the part millions of families never forgot. The feeling of being rootless, of belonging nowhere, of having a piece of their soul permanently left behind. This unspoken trauma, a quiet scar, continued to shape identities, relationships, and societies for decades to come. The creation of Pakistan in 1947 was not a simple act. It birthed a nation in two distinct, geographically separated wings, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, divided by over 1,000 miles of hostile Indian territory and vastly different cultures. and languages. This inherent geographical and cultural schism was a direct legacy of partition, a design flaw from its very inception. From the outset, political and economic power largely resided in West Pakistan, leading to deep resentment and a sense of marginalization in the East. The Bengali people of East Pakistan, despite being the majority, felt their language, culture, and economic needs were ignored. This profound disparity eventually ignited another fierce independence movement. In 1971, after a brutal 9-month war, East Pakistan emerged as the independent nation of Bangladesh. The Partition of 1947, intended to solve one problem, had inadvertently created the conditions for another devastating conflict just 24 years later, proving that the lines drawn on a map in haste could lead to generations of instability and further bloodshed. One of the most enduring and indeed dangerous consequences of partition lies in the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir. At the time of independence, Kashmir's ruler, a Hindu, governed a Muslim-majority population. Faced with the choice of joining India or Pakistan, or remaining independent, his decision was complex and ultimately led to immediate conflict. Both India and Pakistan laid claim to the region, triggering the first of several wars. The Radcliffe Line had bypassed Kashmir, leaving its fate in ambiguous hands, a testament to the hurried nature of partition. For over 7 decades, Kashmir has remained a flashpoint, a potent symbol of unfinished business. It's a land divided by a line of control, patrolled by 2 nuclear-armed nations. Its people, largely Muslim, live under constant tension, caught in a geopolitical struggle that has cost countless lives, displaced families, and created a perpetual state of uncertainty. Kashmir stands as a stark, chilling reminder that the hastily drawn lines of 1947 continue to bleed, leaving one of the world's most beautiful regions scarred by conflict and human suffering. The partition of British India was more than just a redrawing of borders. It was a fundamental reshaping of national identities, a redefinition of who belonged where. New nations were born, each forging a narrative of self, often in opposition to the other. Cities like Delhi and Karachi swelled with millions of refugees, transforming their urban landscapes and cultural fabrics forever, their vibrancy built on the echoes of displacement. But the religious and political divisions deepened, becoming institutionalized, influencing geopolitics for generations. The idea of a shared, syncretic culture was largely replaced by distinct national identities, often emphasizing religious difference. Decades later, the trauma remains. It manifests in the political rhetoric, in the unresolved conflicts, and most profoundly, in the quiet, personal stories carried by millions. It is a collective wound, a memory woven into the DNA of South Asia. Can societies ever fully recover from mass displacement? And why do ordinary civilians suffer most during political decisions made by powerful leaders? The answers lie in the silent gazes of survivors, in the fractured histories, and in the enduring reality that some wounds are simply too deep to heal. The Partition of 1947 stands as a chilling testament to the devastating power of political decisions on human lives. It was a liberation that came at an unbearable cost, a freedom born from unimaginable suffering. For those who lived through it, for those who lost everything, the lines drawn on a map were not just lines on paper, they were wounds on their souls, wounds that continue to define them even today. It's a chapter of human history that forces us to ask, what truly happens when we divide? What is the real price of freedom when paid in the blood and tears of millions? And how long does it take for a broken continent, for broken hearts, to truly heal? This documentary was crafted using advanced AI to push the boundaries of visual storytelling. If you appreciate this blend of history and innovation, please subscribe to support the channel. It only takes a second, but it ensures you'll be the very first to witness our next premiere.